Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be getting started in about 3 to 4 minutes, so feel free to grab a coffee or settle in, and we'll begin shortly. Thank you for your patience. We'll be waiting a couple of more minutes for everybody to join in, and then we'll just kick off. Anybody who's joining right now, we're waiting a couple of minutes for everybody to join in, just 1 or 2 minutes more. If you want to grab that cup of coffee, just want to settle in, please feel free to do so. And we'll be starting very shortly. All right, thank you for your patience and welcome everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. My name is Priya Salwan. I'm a partner solution architect for App Innovation. I'm excited to be co-presenting today with my colleague Ayman Fatima, who's a PSA for security. Together, we'll be walking you through our session on end-to-end security from code to cloud. In this presentation, we'll dive into security, how it can be embedded at every stage of development, from writing secure code to deploying it securely in the cloud. We'll cover it all, so let's jump right in. Before we do that, just wanted to let you know that Microsoft would like to record this call so that the recording may be shared with global call participants or others who are not able to attend today, including service providers, customers, partners, and others at Microsoft. The recordings may include your voice, image, or chat comments. If you do not agree with this, may I ask you to please stop this call right now and listen to this as a follow-up recording. If you do agree, please continue staying on. We have a jam-packed agenda today, so we'll be doing a very brief but quick introduction to Secure Future Initiative, which will be done by my colleague Eamon. We'll then talk about some of the tidbits around DevSecOps. We'll actually go through the GitHub Advanced Security overview, covering all the services provided within this framework. We'll then have a very short demo as well, just showcasing all the cool capabilities of GitHub Advanced Security, but an AI demo as well of the added capability, which will be followed by Microsoft Defender CSPM, and then Pillars of Secure Future Initiative, ending with Q&A and a feedback survey for us. With that, I will hand it over to Eamon to go through the introduction to SFI.
Hi everyone, I'm Eamon and I am an SFI evangelist. And this is why I would like to begin the session today with an introduction to the Secure Future Initiative. So the Microsoft Secure Future Initiative, or SFI, is a multi-layer effort aimed at evolving the way Microsoft designs, builds, tests, and operates its products and services to the highest possible standards of security. This initiative was launched in November 2023 in response to the increasing threat landscape and the need to strengthen security measures. SFI is a multi-layered initiative to improve the way we design, test, and operate software securely. Our CEO, Satya Nadella, made security the #1 priority at Microsoft, putting security above all else over all other features. Could we please go to the next slide, Priya? Thank you. We have the equivalent of around 34,000 engineers working on the SFI, making it the single largest cybersecurity engineering project in the history of digital technology. All of our work across Microsoft is now guided by the 3 principles you see on the screens in front of you. Secure by design, where security comes first when designing any product or any service. Secure by default, which means security protections are enabled and enforced by default, and they require no extra effort, and they are not optional. And the third pillar is secure operations, which means security controls and monitoring will continuously be improved to meet the current and future threats. We are empowering all of Microsoft to implement the needed changes to deliver security first, and we are leveraging all of these insights, best practices, and learnings to deliver the most secure cloud on the planet, the Microsoft Cloud. And these are not just words for us. We are putting the ultimate behavioral incentive behind it, compensation, with security being a key part of the executive compensation and every employee's performance evaluation. So in this session today, we will give you a sneak peek of how we are managing security, how this initiative works, what you can do to implement the Secure Future Initiative in your organizations, and most importantly, the tooling around it. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Priya.
Thank you so much, Eamon, for that. And yes, so the main focus for Microsoft this year is security, secure by design and security. And we know that when we talk about security, specifically in the developer world, how important it is from the application security perspective. And today we are going to address the issues at the heart of application security efforts, which are there prevalent at most organizations. A, how to grow your business and code bases without introducing any new threats. And second, how you can empower your coders, which are your developers, with the right security tooling that keeps them productive. And as you can see in this chart, there is a clear correlation between the 2 lines of code, the code written and the potential vulnerabilities present in this code. This is not really surprising considering the complexity of what modern software development is and the evolving tactics of the malicious hackers. As the software becomes more sophisticated, so does the threats against it. More lines of code will mean and represent that more potential entry points that can be exploited. And just building on that, consider this. This is a staggering statistics that 80% of breaches actually stem from either exposed credentials or application level vulnerabilities. And these vulnerabilities actually serve as the hackers' preferred entry points because they are easiest to exploit. And what particularly concerning in this is that this trend is just not confined to the report that's shown in here, which is of just 2023, but rather it's a recurring pattern. And also goes out to show that whatever existing methods that we have in terms of security protection, they're just not enough. And we need to insert security tooling where it's most effective. Now, given this realization, we have seen that it's not really a surprise that organizations have this increasing amount of interest to embrace the concept of shifting security left, which is right where the coding happens by enabling the developers, and hence enters DevSecOps. It accelerates the development, mirroring the speed of your DevOps practices by inserting security throughout the development cycle and not just at the end. I just wanted to mention here that historically, DevOps and security are from very, very different perspectives. DevOps, which combines dev and ops, have a very outward looking perspective. They work on trying to increase the software delivery cycles to gain that competitive advantage and having faster release cycles. Security is more inward looking, strong compliance, governance, proper approach towards security in internal systems. And hence there is a tussle between these two. So when we combine the powers of the two, which is DevOps and security, what we have is a DevSecOps platform which will provide you a holistic approach, not only ensuring that you have comprehensive security, but also providing organizations and companies with the assurance and peace of mind that their products are resilient against threats. And as you can see from this diagram, if you have that shift security left approach right in the early stages of your development, the remediation cost amounts to just a couple of dollars, which goes out to show that if it's a fifth or a sixth step approach, as it has been traditionally, it will really incur you a huge amount of remediation cost. So when you address these vulnerabilities early in the development process, organizations not only just save valuable time and resources that would otherwise be spent on fixing the issues post-production. Now we know, we have seen in the slides what's the problem. We know that we have to do a security left kind of approach, but I think it's easier said than done. We have to put these ideas into practice, but they're not just simple. So what we have realized internally at GitHub and Microsoft and their partnership together, what could be some of the root causes behind this lack of improvement, despite the rapid transformation of the development practices? And we have identified three main areas. The first one, developer and security teams remain siloed from each other. I talked about how their approaches are different when it comes to software release cycle. Most developers, what we have seen, lack adequate security knowledge for their day-to-day tasks. And there is scarcity of AppSec experts, which actually enhances the problem, which leads to significant skill gaps within the organizations. The ratio that we have seen through several reports is 1:100. So you could have one security person or app security person to 100 developers, and there's the huge gap. Also, as organizations transition to more of a cloud native environment, they're shipping code even faster, and security teams just can't keep up with that pace, which results in a significant security technical debt. Also, what we have realized is that modern code bases are vast, which means that organizations rely on the fragmented traditional tools for scanning coverage. Now, these traditional scan-based tools, they often fail to provide you actionable insights, especially to the developers. And as a result, we have seen that remediating this would take a lot of time. Sometimes it is more than 6 months. So there's definitely this need of understanding that these are some of the core competencies where we are missing at and where we need to really empower our developers so that they can not only make the choices or they're aware, but they also have proper tools with them to actually go ahead and solve these problems. And hence we have the product from GitHub and Microsoft, which is known as GitHub Advanced Security. So GitHub Advanced Security is available for the GitHub universe. So if you are a partner or customer working in the GitHub environment using the GitHub Enterprise resources for your CI/CD pipeline or your software development pipeline, then you have GitHub Advanced Security in that. Or if you are an Azure DevOps universe, an Azure DevOps customer or a partner using pipelines and everything, then GitHub Advanced Security is available for you as well. What GitHub Advanced Security does, it basically empowers developers to resolve security issues seamlessly without really hindering their progress, where we'll meet you or the tool meets you right into your developer security workflow, and it's woven into the everyday tasks that a developer does. Just an FYI about GitHub Advanced Security, it's available for Azure DevOps, priced at $49 per committer per month. And usage and invoices are managed through Azure subscription if you're using for the Azure DevOps purposes. A committer is just defined as a person who's committing the code to a repository. It is again protected by GitHub Advanced Security for about 90 days. There is no commitment as such required for enabling this particular service. You can easily turn it off and stop paying the next day. So these are some of the FYI if you just want to get started with the tooling. One of the things that I wanted to highlight because of the partnership and what we are trying to collaborate on and how this collaboration stands out, and there are a couple of reasons for that. First, developer focus. So the solution is specifically designed to facilitate DevSecOps practices, which ensures seamless integration of security into the development process. Second, we have the largest community. So with millions of developers which are using and contributing to the platform, what we boast is the largest and most vibrant community in the industry. Third, the result-driven approach. So what we do is we prioritize the tangible results. The track record speaks, which means that we have significant impact in the developer community as evidenced by the bottom row, which you can see some of the metrics that there are millions of developers worldwide spanning from individual contributors, whether it would be in open source projects to larger enterprise and how they benefit by using Microsoft and GitHub technologies together. Now, one of my favorite slides, which actually encompasses and sort of put forward this message as stringent as possible, that how GitHub and Microsoft offers a unified ecosystem rightfully from code to cloud. So Microsoft has an end-to-end platform, whether it's about development, whether it's incorporating security from the onset, it provides you that end-to-end solution, whether we are looking at it from the lens of dev, as you can see in the above diagram, or we are looking at it from the lens of SecOps, which is the below part. So you have all the tooling available here, which provides you that end-to-end sort of features, which will provide you the complete security ecosystem. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to ensure security is there throughout the developer workflow. And also you have robust security operations to monitor the code as it gets deployed. So let's dig into the development aspect of it first. So what we have here is the Visual Studio Code, which provides you a virtual development environment for any development, regardless of whatever your local capabilities might be. Same goes for the GitHub Code Spaces. It's essentially an entire development lifecycle tool that's in the cloud. It makes it super easy to onboard any sort of new developers that you have for your team, and also helps you to work with the contractors or any third parties as well. It has a lot of built-in intellectual property protection capabilities because we say that code is no longer being dispersed into multiple locations. So you need to have proper protection capabilities as well. Additional features that we have or additional components that we have in here are GitHub Enterprise and GitHub Actions. So again, this is very much specific to GitHub Universe. So if you're using any sort of CI/CD pipelining features in the GitHub Enterprises, you have different sort of technology and tools in that ecosystem, like GitHub Actions, which really help the customers and partners to collaboratively develop and deploy the code that they want to, wherever they want to. And then finally, we have security guidance and continuous security feedback within the developer workflow through GitHub Advanced Security. And we are going to talk about the components of GitHub Advanced Security in the upcoming slides, such as code scanning, secret scanning, and dependency review. If we go to the SecOps part, we have also compiled a strong unified set of the SecOps tools as well, which helps you to proactively defend against threats. For example, for identity management services, you can use Azure Entra AD to instill that zero trust security throughout your organization. You can leverage Azure Policy or Azure Key Vault to systematically apply policies across the applications and also store the secrets outside of your code. With Microsoft Defender for Cloud, which my colleague Eamon is going to explain in the upcoming slides, you have all the necessary tools to anticipate and remediate threats whenever or wherever your application is alive. And then Microsoft Defender for DevOps, which is a sub-part of Defender for Cloud, it extends to SecOps visibility, and it gives you the visibility into entire developer workflow for responsive and actionable remediation guidance. If you have any compromised secrets, you can view them in Defender for Cloud. If you have any sort of code scanning alerts, you can view them in Defender for Cloud. If you have any dependencies which could be vulnerable, you can view them in Defender for Cloud. So it's a single pane of glass which gives you all the information about what exactly is happening from the security perspective in your DevOps environment. And then lastly, with Microsoft Sentinel, your enterprises has access to intelligent, secure analytics, which allows to give you that bird's eye view across your organization that what exactly is happening from end-to-end system. So both of these worlds come together to provide you a unified solution to completely have an environment which is secure by design. All right, moving forward, we'll talk about the core competencies of GitHub Advanced Security. The first one is secret scanning, and through several investigation reports, what we have seen is that stolen or compromised credentials remain the primary cause of breaches. And this has been going on for a couple of consecutive years. And it actually causes they're not just most prevalent, but also the most costliest for the organizations to resolve. And hence, to combat secret exposure, organizations leverage GitHub secret scanning, which combs through your repositories, identifies for any passwords, tokens, encryption keys, or any other sort of sensitive information that has been inadvertently leaked. By default, secret scanning alerts the users only after a secret has been committed. So if you're working on any GitHub repo or any Azure repo, then once you have committed the secret, only then it sort of identifies the problem. But with the push protection feature, which is a subpart of it, if you have that enabled, it gives you more proactive control. So it allows you to utilize the secret scanning to actually support these secrets from being pushed into your organizational repo, and it mitigates the risk before they actually arise. Also, users have lots of flexibility. You can define any sort of custom patterns which are tailored for your organization's specific needs. And what this ensures is that your organization has capability that even the internal secrets are very unique to your organization. They can be identified and prevented from any sort of exposure. Also, additionally, we also have Actions Secret API, which gives you a secure method to store and retrieve passwords and encryption keys. So it basically reduces the risk of any sort of exposing the sensitive information in a publicly available script, providing you that additional layer of protection. Like I spoke about, the push protection feature, it basically proactively blocks your secrets into your repository. It provides you alerts as you push changes to your working branch via the command line, or if you want to use the web UI as well. And it's a very popular feature among the partners and the customers because it gives you that cost saving and risk reduction capabilities both in one. A couple of stats around here that we have is that there are about 91% of customers who have enabled push protection on their GitHub Advanced Security enabled Azure repo and have really benefited from that. It has been seen that it prevented about greater than 2,000 attempted secret introductions in a month in the, again, enabled repos, and about 30% of customers who have auto-enabled feature for their organizations have really benefited from having this particular feature. So you have secret scanning, which scrolls through all the sensitive information or all the leaked passwords, encryption hacks that you might have had. But push protection will not let you commit those changes if those compromised secrets or anything else is available in that particular repository until and unless you address that particular problem. The next feature is dependency scanning. So as we know that a lot of work is done on an open source project, and with open source project comes lots of third-party vulnerabilities. They could be direct, like you already know that this could be the vulnerability, or they could be transient in nature. That means that you might be using those open source projects, but you might not be sort of aware that there could be any third-party vulnerability which could possibly go ahead and cause the issue. And hence, dependency scanning identifies the open source components which are utilized within your source code and ascertains that if there is any sort of associated vulnerability that exists. And this is again advised by our internal advisory, which is called as GitHub Advisory Database. It prompts the creation of the dependency scanning alerts. So whatever the big build log that you have, It includes a direct link to the individual alert, which facilitates any sort of investigation that you can go ahead and do. And then you also get some of the responses that what you can go ahead and do to fix that particular scanning alert. So once you are in that repo and you have an error flagged, you can go to the tab Fix Dependency Scanning Alert, and it's going to go ahead and fix that for you as well. So it gives you all that knowledge that what could be the third-party dependencies available. One of the sub features of dependency scanning is Dependabot, which kind of creates like a graph of your repository, that this is the main repository. These are some of the things that it's dependent on, and then further it spans out like this. So it gives you this entire diagrammatical sort of information that these are all the third-party dependencies your project or repo has. And this is where the error or some sort of scanning alert is coming from. So you get this graphical representation of your repositories as well, which I think is pretty cool, given that we often sort of take a lot of time to find exactly where the problem is, as we see that there is a lot of context switching in a developer's world. To have that in a graphical way would really be beneficial if you want to have a timely resolution to these problems. Then we have code scanning, which is powered by CodeQL. It basically empowers robust statistics analysis to give you the identification of any sort of vulnerabilities in your development process. So what we do is we convert the source code into a relational database, which is CodeQL facilitates that. And these scans occurs before your code merges into the base. So it ensures if there are any sort of vulnerabilities that are addressed early on in the development lifecycle. It also leverages queries which are created by a community of security experts, and it actually seamlessly integrates it into the developer workflow, which what we're trying to do is we're trying to foster faster development without really compromising security. So it meets you right in your IDE, whether you're using Visual Studio or code bases or anything, you can basically enable that and it will scroll through for any sort of code compromises that might be there. It also checks for syntax errors as well. And it's also directly integrated with Azure DevOps as well. So if you want to go ahead and use an Azure DevOps, you can go ahead and use in there as well. It supports wide array of languages and frameworks. It also offers you variant analysis along with any sort of comprehensive reporting functionalities as well, if you want to sort of meet any sort of compliance regulatory requirement. And you can also specify custom queries or query packs to be run against these CodeQL queries, which might not be available in general, but are very specific to your organization. So you can go ahead and do that as well. And what we're trying to do through code scanning is trying to prioritize security without really sacrificing the efficiency or agility. And then we have Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So Eamon is going to go much more in depth for this particular tool, but from the DevOps lens, I think for any successful application security, the whole involvement is that we can effectively communicate alerts to the broader security team. And GitHub Advanced Security for Azure DevOps actually connects with Microsoft Defender for Cloud to further empower the organizations and their DevSecOps model. So what you can go ahead and do with Defender for Cloud, you can unify the visibility of DevOps security posture. You can strengthen cloud resource configuration in code. You can address any sort of potential vulnerabilities and risks before they actually impact your production environments. And also you can receive context-driven remediation guidance for code fixes. So you can leverage the security intelligence or contextual information from code to cloud, which enables you to have faster and more informed remediation efforts within the code base. And this integration is not just intended to security operation, but also to empower the teams to proactively address their security concerns throughout the software development lifecycle, which ultimately enhances the overall security posture for your organization. And I think this slide really speaks to that we are better together. The worlds of application security, which largely is dependent on the tool like GitHub Advanced Security, whether you're a GitHub or whether you're on Azure DevOps, and of course, Defender for Cloud. So organizations require end-to-end security, and it facilitates both starting secure by integrating security measure, and it also is about staying secure by ensuring that ongoing cross-cloud defense is there throughout the application lifecycle. So this solution accomplishes these objectives without really sort of introducing any friction or impending agility. And it also offers you a comprehensive DevSecOps solution that empowers development and security teams to securely help you build, deploy, and manage applications. So by seamlessly integrating security in the developer workflow, this solution enables you or enables the developers to produce the code with enhanced security measures and swiftly respond to vulnerabilities in their software supply chain. Also, security teams can benefit from this streamlined collaboration along with their counterparts because they can get this unified view. I think these insights are invaluable because you can help prioritize the most critical threats, and it also ensures that the resources are allocated effectively to address any sort of most pressing security concerns. And with that, I am almost at the end of my session, so I'll do a very quick demo. So we have an AI feature called as GitHub Copilot Autofix, which is kind of an expansion of code scanning. It provides the users and provide the users with any sort of targeted recommendations to help them fix their code scanning alerts so they can avoid introducing new security vulnerabilities. It also gives you some sort of potential fixes as well. It is again generated automatically by LLMs. So using data from the code bases and from the code scanning analysis, it gives you the auto fix based on that analysis. And it also supports some of the third-party tools like ESLint as well. You do not need any sort of subscription for GitHub Copilot. You can simply start using GitHub Copilot Autofix without any challenges. It's available in github.com as well. And it is going to generate those potential fixes which are relevant to your existing source code and will translate the description and location of an alert. So with that, I'll just quickly share the screen that I have. So this is the GitHub account of mine. If I'll go to this particular repository, and I'll go to the security tab of it, it already shows me 20 alerts. So you can see that once you'll enable GitHub Advanced Security, it is going to again be available in this vulnerability alerts, whether it's Dependabot, whether it's code scanning or secret scanning. If I go to Dependabot, it is going to show me these are some of the vulnerabilities it has identified in the operation that it has run. So you can just go ahead and do the pull command. It is going to fix the issue. For now, we'll focus on code scanning. And I'll just go to any one sort of error that it has generated that it looks like an inefficient regex expression. It then gives you the understanding of it, that why it feels that this particular expression is there. It also has sort of severity as well. So the severity says high, affected branches main, and it also gives you the weakness points as well. You can also dismiss the alert that if you want. But here you have this feature, speed up the remediation of this alert with Copilot Autofix for CodeQL. And this is the AI capability that I was talking about. So if I go ahead and click on generate fix, it is going to go ahead and generate the fix in here based off the alert, based off the code base. And once it is done by generating the fix, it will ask me, do I want to go ahead and commit this particular change? And if I can commit this change, this particular code scanning alert will be resolved. So instead of me going to the branch, seeing what exactly would be the issue, finding a fix for it, I have Copilot Autofix with me now with AI capabilities, again, based off LLM models to suggest me that based off this source code or existing source code, what I have, and based off the relation database of CodeQL, I think this would be the appropriate fix. And I can just go ahead and click on generate fix. Once it gives me the response, I can go ahead and commit that response and the issue will be resolved. So this was a very quick demo that I had at my end. It's still running, so I'll probably let it run and I'll stop sharing and share the PPT slides again. And I will now hand it over to my colleague, Eamon, who will go through the rest of the SFI and Defender part.
Thanks, Priya. I'm just going to take control.
Yeah.
All right, so let's have a deeper look into what is Microsoft Defender CSPM. Now, Microsoft Defender Cloud Security Posture Management Solution empowers organizations such as yours to take a proactive approach into their cloud security from code to runtime. There are four main key sort of features of Microsoft Defender CSPM, and they're listed in front of you on the screens. Now, the first one of these, I'll briefly go through each one of them, is that it helps you pinpoint and fix critical issues across multi-cloud environments and developer pipelines. Second, it helps you unify cloud compliance and policies with built-in security best practices and customizable recommendations. So what that means is that it comes with some recommendations out of the box and other recommendations you can implement yourself based on your organization's security policies. It also helps you secure sensitive data across clouds, enabling you to strengthen your data stores across all the clouds that have your workload. So for example, if you have your workload on GCP, AWS, or any sort of cloud, it helps you secure sensitive data across all of those clouds, not just the Microsoft cloud. And then finally, it provides you with DevOps capabilities, secure DevOps capabilities to fix issues at their very source in infrastructure as code templates and prevents them from occurring again. Now, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into each one of these points to help us understand what they really do. So the Defender CSPM solution is a context-aware risk prioritization engine. Those are a lot of fancy words to say a very simple concept. What it actually means is that there's an algorithm in it, and that algorithm basically calculates the risk level of each security recommendation that it provides. And the risk level is calculated based on a number of factors. For example, the impact it can have on your sensitive data or any sort of business criticality that it can offer. Now, this helps it assign a risk level to every single one of the recommendations, and it allows you to only prioritize the recommendations that are more critical. So you get to spend more time on that, and you can have a clear picture of what's important and what's not. So for just as an example, most internal teams here at Microsoft actually use Defender CSPM to check which of their workloads are under threat. And if the threat is to a critical workload, they would action it first. The other threats can obviously be actioned at a later time. Defender for Cloud can also provide you with a comprehensive risk assessment. And that risk assessment will explain to you different factors, potential impacts, and known attack paths. Now, what is a known attack path? It's a feature in Defender for Cloud, CSPM. It's an analysis feature that gives you a detailed view of potential attack scenarios, and it helps you understand how different vulnerabilities in your systems could be exploited in real-world scenarios. So just for an example, a lot of the medical healthcare partners that I work with, they use the attack path analysis feature to actually give them an idea of where their infrastructure is the weakest and where they could actually improve it to protect the sensitive patient data, because that's obviously PII. And then it also helps give you a granular visibility at the resource level. So again, in simpler words, with Defender for Cloud, you can get a clear view down to the individual resource level, allowing you to identify specific risks and exempt resources wherever that is appropriate. Now, with this capability, it allows you to help to basically filter out any unnecessary security recommendations, and it ensures that your attention is always directed towards the most pressing issues. Now let's talk about how we can unify visibility into your application using application security posture using Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So first of all, Defender for Cloud enables automatic discovery of DevOps assets across various platforms. So let's say you've got a DevOps pipeline in your GitHub, in GitHub, then you've got another one in Azure DevOps or maybe in GitLab or wherever you have them. It can discover your DevOps assets across all of these different pipelines if you connect it to Defender for Cloud. Now, this means that your security system can get a complete and holistic sort of view of both your cloud and DevOps inventory, or within one single user interface, something similar to what you see on the screens in front of you. Now, by combining these environments, we actually solve the problem of fragmented visibility, allowing you to have a look at your entire security posture a lot more holistically. And once your DevOps environments are connected, Defender for Cloud can auto-configure a number of scanners. So these include scanners for code, for secrets, and scanners for open source dependencies. Now, these scanners run continuously, and they run a deep analysis once every 24 hours across all of these different DevOps resources. For example, across your builds, your secure files, your repos, and any service connections that you have. And this helps detect any security issues very early on in the development process. So you don't really have to wait till the end until an issue bubbles up. And it then provides you automated recommendation whenever any issues are identified. And this assessment ensures that your code base and CI/CD pipeline comply to the best security practices. Defender CSPM also offers a data-aware security posture. Now, what does this mean? This means that it actually protects any sensitive data across your different cloud environments. Now, as we've seen, a lot of the features in Defender CSPM can actually span across multi-cloud. They're not just limited to Azure. Now, to do this, Defender for Cloud can automatically and continuously scan the entire entire data estate, including both managed and shadow resources that may not be very actively tracked. There's predefined categories of highly sensitive data within Defender CSPM, and that helps you identify any sensitive data using any of the predefined categories. And there's more than 100 predefined categories. So things like financial information, personally identifiable information, PII, and any user credentials. And this makes it obviously a lot easier to detect and protect any critical data types that are more vulnerable to breaches. Finally, Defender CSPM can also leverage custom sensitive information sensitivity labels. It can import them from Purview Information Protection. This means that you can apply your existing data classification policies within Defender for Cloud, and it helps you maintain consistency over your entire security posture and data state. I keep saying real estate. Now, for this slide, can I please request everyone to ignore the formatting on the slide? Because when I was building it, Microsoft Designer didn't give me any suggestions, so I had to do it all myself. And the formatting is a bit up and down, so please ignore that. Now, Microsoft Defender for Cloud can help prevent reoccurring security risks with a cloud-to-code remediation approach. So first, let's talk about code-to-cloud contextualization. What does this mean? Again, a lot of fancy words that I've added in here. This basically means improving the cloud security graphs with insights directly from your application code. It adds to your security data by connecting running containers that might be running in any of the clouds that you have connected back to their source code. And it adds, it allows us to trace and understand the relationship between the code and the actual cloud environment. Now, this comprehensive view helps us identify vulnerabilities a lot more effectively and ensures that any potential risks that we have are addressed as part of the development process. Again, stopping you from stopping the threats from actually bubbling up. So next, we identify critical attack paths that we've already talked about a little bit with code insights. Now, this involves detecting vulnerabilities in any open source software components that you're using and exposed credentials within the code. Now, by understanding these weaknesses in your application layer, we can better anticipate any potential attack vectors and prioritize any remediation efforts based on their impact on the overall security posture. And then finally, we drive remediation directly in the code. There are custom workflows that enable developers to take ownership of security issues by assigning responsibilities and streamlining the entire remediation process. So security operations or SecOps, if you have any of those teams, can actually initiate pull request annotations to guide developers on how to fix vulnerabilities in the code, making it a lot easier for your developers and the security teams to close the gaps before your code even reaches the cloud. So now that we've explored how Defender CSPM strengthens our data security posture, now I want to talk about how this actually fits into the broader strategy for future-proofing our security landscape. And that brings us to the Secure Future Initiative. Now, it is very important for us as at Microsoft to take our partners, that is all of you guys, on this secure journey with us. And this is because we are not successful until you are, and we are not secure until you are. Which is why I want to explain to you how we do security here at Microsoft and how you can follow the same example. The SFI, the Secure Future Initiative, like I talked about before, is built on three core principles: secure by design, secure operations, secure by design, secure by default, and secure operations. And these pillars ensure that security is embedded into every aspect of our cloud infrastructure. And that can be from the very beginning, from where you conceptualize the entire concept, you design the architecture through to daily operations. The first pillar, secure by design, this principle emphasizes on protecting identities and secrets, as well as safeguarding production systems by isolating them from potential threats. Now, how does it exactly do that? I'm going to explain each of the pillars in a bit more detail in the rest of the slide deck. The second pillar, secure by default, mainly focuses on establishing robust defenses as standard practice, such as protecting networks and engineering systems, just to make sure that the default state is actually the most secure one. And finally, the secure operation pillar ensures that there's continuous monitoring, threat detection, and rapid response capabilities. So by increasing the speed at which we respond to incidents, we actually minimize the impact of potential threats and maintain a resilient security postures. And we have to remember that all of these principles are underpinned by a commitment to continuous improvement. And that is because the threats are always going to get more and more sophisticated with the advancements of technology. So these 6 security pillars that I've briefly mentioned that you see in front of you on the screens is how we do SFI here at Microsoft. So let's go into a bit more detail of each of them. Just conscious of time, so I won't take too long on these. So the first pillar of our Secure Future initiative is protecting identities and secrets. And this step obviously is very important for reducing the risk of any unauthorized access. And we do this by enforcing best-in-class standards across all of our identity and management infrastructure, as well as user and application authentication and authorization. Now, why do we do this? We do this because it provides benefit to our customers. The benefit is that it eliminates any human errors, which often leads to compromised keys or credentials. And by implementing these very robust protections, we ensure that sensitive information remains inaccessible to any unauthorized users, and it safeguards your data from potential breaches. Now, how exactly we do that? Great question. So here at Microsoft, we protect our identity infrastructure and keys with rapid automated key rotation. What does that mean? We change our keys very frequently, and this key rotation uses hardware security modules, HSMs, and secure storage methods. Second, we use standard tools, for example, SDKs. Now we all know what SDKs are. They're software development kits to keep identity and secrets across all applications, secure across all applications. Then we protect 100% of our user accounts with strong and phishing resistant MFA. We secure all of our apps with system managed credentials, for example, managed identity and managed certificates. And we avoid hard coding any secrets into our code bases. And then we make sure that our identity tokens are safe from tampering and they come with strong validation. Finally, we prepare for the future threats by adopting post-quantum cryptography. Now, I deliberately said the words post-quantum cryptography just to sound more smart, but the point I'm trying to make here is that we prepare for the future threats as well as they come, and we're just preparing for the future, basically. All right. The next is we protect our tenants and isolate production systems. Sorry, just give me a second. I'm getting a bit of a technical glitch here. Okay, so we protect our tenants and isolate production systems. What does this mean? This means that we protect all of our tenants and production systems using the best security practices in the market to minimize the breadth of impact. And how do we actually do that? Sorry, not yet. How do we actually do that? We try and remove any legacy systems that are not being used anymore. We enforce the least privileged access principle. Again, something I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with. For those who are not, that means that we only give access, the least possible access that is needed to get the job done. Then we only grant access to secure and managed devices, which also gets a little bit annoying sometimes. I shouldn't be saying this out loud in a recorded meeting, but it does get annoying when I can't access my Microsoft resources on my phone if I don't update the iOS. Um, we eliminate any identity lateral movement across environments. Now, lateral movement, what does that mean? That basically means if a hacker gets into your networks, lateral movement means they try to move around the network unseen, unnoticed. I'm going to explain how we do that a little bit later, but we try to eliminate all of that movement by network segmentation. We protect all of our tenants and resources to the best security standards, and we maintain high security for all our intra-ID apps. And the customer benefit it provides is that it reduces the attack surface. The third pillar is protecting networks. So this focuses on implementing network isolation for both Microsoft and customer resources to strengthen security all across the board. And what is the customer benefit that it provides us? That is that increased segmentation between operating environments prevents lateral movement. So like I said before, lateral movements refers to techniques attackers use to move around inside of a network once they've gained that initial access. And by isolating different network segments, we add layers of defense that make it a lot harder for them to move around. And how do we do that? We do that by securing all of our Microsoft production networks and systems connected to them by continuously improving isolation techniques, monitoring practices, inventory management, and secure operations. And to provide that extra layer of defense on top, we apply network isolation and microsegmentation across all Microsoft production environments, which further compartmentalizes the network, limiting the impact of any potential breaches. The fourth pillar focuses on protecting software assets by continuously improving code security through the governance of supply chain and engineering systems infrastructure. And why is this important? This is important because, as we all know, this is the era of AI. AI is rising, threats are getting more and more sophisticated, software vulnerabilities can emerge more quickly. So the customer benefit it provides us is that by refining the security of our software supply chain, we are always ahead of potential vulnerabilities, and this ensures that our software remains resilient to new threats. And how do we actually do this? We do this, we build and maintain a comprehensive inventory of all of our software assets. We secure all access to our source code. We follow best security practices for all source code deployed in the production environment. And we also secure software supply chain itself to protect the Microsoft production environments. The fifth pillar of this initiative is monitoring and detecting. And with this detection, we are able to ensure that we know as soon as a breach happens, and we offer complimentary access to security logs to our customers as well to improve transparency and so that they can keep trusting us. And how do we do this? We do this by maintaining a current inventory of 100% of all Microsoft production infrastructure and services to ensure that all assets are accounted for. And we retain all of these security logs for a minimum of 6 months. And then all security logs are obviously stored in a central data lake, which enables effective and efficient security investigations. And that brings us to the sixth and final pillar of the Secure Future Initiative, which is preventing the exploitation of vulnerabilities. Now, our focus here is addressing vulnerabilities identified by both the internal and external sources. And the customer benefit it provides us is that this is a proactive approach that reduces the time customers are at risk. And how do we achieve this? So our customers' trust is very, very important for us. So we make sure that we update our customers and messages to customers are clear, quick, and honest. We also aim to reduce the time to mitigate for high severity cloud security vulnerabilities, and we increase transparency by adopting the industry standards mentioned in front of you on the screen. That brings us to the end of this presentation. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask, or you shall forever hold your peace.
I think there was a question on pricing.
Yeah.
Do you want to take that, Priya?
Yes, I've responded to that, Nila. So I've shared in the links for GitHub Advanced Security and for the Defender for Cloud. So for GitHub Advanced Security, you have $49 per committer. So that's the cost that is there, which is per usage per month. Now, committer is somebody who commits the code. And like I said, it's just on the basis of if you want to stop it tomorrow, you can go ahead and stop it tomorrow. That subscription will cease to exist. Also, the GitHub Advanced Security specifically for Azure DevOps works through Azure subscription. So if you are not in the GitHub world or GitHub Enterprises world, you'll have to go ahead and do it the Azure way or Azure subscription way. But yeah, if you want to start it, you can start it right now. From here on, it will start. By default, if you're using Git in a GitHub ecosystem, you have some of the capabilities which are available in the public repositories. You don't have to really pay for anything, but you want a more sort of version where it is very much embedded into your system, then you can go for the GitHub Advanced Security licenses.
Now, if we don't have any more questions, can I request everyone in the final 5 minutes? We will greatly appreciate any feedback on this session. Please tell us what we did right, what we didn't do right. If you would like us to present on a different topic next time, please let us know in the chat as well. And we will try our best to organize a webinar on that topic as well. Now, there's a question in the chat. So just to answer that, this slide deck will be available on Seismic, and Whitney will provide us with the link shortly in the chat as well. So everyone who is here can access the slide deck. The slide deck will also be sent to you on your email and this recorded meeting as well. And thank you very much for joining this session. Just before you all go, can I please request you to fill in the feedback survey?
And in the Seismic link, everybody, we have a couple of more links as well. If you want to prep for GitHub Advanced Security certification, if you want to get more and detailed analysis on the core capabilities of GitHub Advanced Security, you can access those links as well. All of that information is available, as Eamon said, on the Seismic link, along with the link of the presentation that we presented today.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for joining in. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. We've got another question, I think. No. Okay, that's just a comment. All right. Awesome.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.